onto the bread and the juice that represents his body and blood until they have been made. I would first like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Banele, and I'm part of the campus ministry. I go to VITS and originally come from the Northwest region, which is where I studied the Bible and became a disciple about 2 years ago. Yeah, it's been about a year now that I've settled nicely into the East region.
Amen.
Before I get into the message for communion, I wanted to ask whether anyone has been asked or told this or had an experience like this. Not too long ago, I was in a store buying something, and I was chatting to the cashier, and out of nowhere, she just asked me, "Have you ever done anything wrong in your life?" And I think what she was implying, or yeah, what she meant to say, is that I came across or looked like someone who never done anything wrong in their life, which is far from the truth. And yeah, I've done many wrong things in my life, but I'm not going to make communion about the wrong things that I've done. But instead, this is a time where it's about what Jesus has done for us and what he has done to make my wrongdoings as though they were not done. My hope is that through the passage we're about to read, which if you could turn there, it's Luke 15, verse 11 to 24. My hope is that we'll be able to get a clearer picture of the position that Christ has made possible for us before the Father. Now, the first time I heard this passage was back when I was still a young Mitzi. At a time where I think that cashier would have taken back what she said. And I remember being struck by the heart and character of God in this story towards people who have gone their own way, people like myself. So I'll begin reading from verse 11. It reads, Jesus continued, "There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, 'Father, give me my share of the estate.' So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating, but no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, 'How many of my father's hired servants have food to spare, and here I am starving to death. I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired servants.' So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son.' But the father said to his servants, 'Quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found.' So they began to celebrate." Jesus is telling a parable here, but what's happening? The son in the story loses his way and wants to live life on his own terms, and in so doing distances himself far away from his father. Eventually, things don't work out so well for him, and he finds himself beneath even the livelihood of pigs. The big turning point is when he realizes that he needs to go back to his father. The dynamic of a situation like this, where you have a rebellious, lost child like this who has dishonored his father, is one where you would expect shame and punishment to be upon him. He himself acknowledges this position and expects that. Yet we see the complete opposite of that in his father's response. The father figure in the parable is meant to represent God, and the father's response reveals the character and heart of God towards those who earnestly want to turn their wrong way back to him. He wants to embrace them and bring them from life to death, from death to life. This is only possible because Jesus' sacrifice on the cross changes the dynamic for us. He changes the dynamic between rebellious, lost, broken children like ourselves and our Father in heaven to one where mercy, grace, celebration, and a restored relationship with the Father is brought. When the Son came to his senses and came back, the overwhelmingly compassionate response from his Father was just as if he had never done anything wrong. That is a clear picture of what justification looks like when we receive it through Christ. It is his blood that when we find ourselves in a position far off like the prodigal son, that we're able to be brought near and embraced by God.